So documents are starting to come to light, like an email written by Trump team lawyer John Eastman, the guy who drafted the 6-point memo, the blueprint for the coup. And more documents are going to start coming to light from the National Archives and elsewhere. And I have a feeling some of these documents are going to feel like mini Nixon tapes. Let's talk about that. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So I'm not quite prepared to say the tide is turning, but I am seeing some things that are giving me reason for optimism. There is some evidence emerging that is helping to bring into full focus the nature and scope of the conspiracy against the United States, the seditious conspiracy, the conspiracy to overturn the election's results. It's a conspiracy that's populated by Donald Trump, by Jeffrey Clark, and now we're learning more about this attorney named John Eastman and what his role was in this conspiracy against the United States. Now, we just heard about an email that John Eastman wrote to an aide of Mike Pence, a guy named Greg Jacob. And Eastman wrote this email while the attack on the Capitol was ongoing. Now, you'll remember John Eastman is the lawyer who put together the 6-point memo, how to overturn the election's results, the blueprint for a coup, or as the Washington Post called it, the instruction manual for the coup. Let's talk about some of the new reporting about some of what John Eastman was up to in the days before January 6th, right before the attack on the Capitol. This from CNN. Trump lawyer John Eastman said, "Courage and spine would help Pence send election to the House," in comments he made before January 6th. And that article begins, John Eastman, a conservative lawyer working with then-President Donald Trump's legal team, said in a radio interview in early January that then-Vice President Mike Pence had the power to throw the 2020 presidential election to the House of Representatives, saying it depended on whether Pence had, quote, courage and the spine, close quote. Well, friends, it's not that Mike Pence didn't have the courage and the spine. It's that he didn't have the law and the authority to overturn the election's results. So once we learned about the Eastman memo, the blueprint for the coup, Eastman himself tried to back away from his own memo that he wrote. He started saying things like, well, it was really just a thought experiment. It was just like a hypothetical. And in fact, here are Eastman's own words when he was describing his memo. Quote, "Anybody who thinks that that's a viable strategy is crazy," closed quote. Eastman now says of his own work product, prompting the author of that Slate magazine article to write the headline, "John Eastman is right. His election memo was crazy." Friends, Eastman's attempt to explain away his own memo are just words after he's been caught, and they mean nothing. You know what means something? An email that John Eastman wrote to one of then Vice President Mike Pence's aides during the attack on the Capitol. Here's how the Washington Post just reported that out. During January 6th riot, Trump attorney told Pence team Vice President's inaction caused attack on Capitol. And that article reads in part, as Vice President Mike Pence hid from a marauding mob during the January 6th invasion of the Capitol, An attorney for President Donald Trump emailed a top Pence aide to say that Pence had caused the violence by refusing to block certification of Trump's election loss. The attorney, John Eastman, also continued to press Pence to act, even after Trump supporters had trampled through the Capitol, an attack the Pence aide, Greg Jacob, had described as a siege in their email. And here's what John Eastman wrote in that email exchange with Mike Pence's aide. The siege is because you and your boss, Vice President Pence, did not do what was necessary to allow this to be aired in a public way so that the American people can see for themselves what happened. Eastman wrote to Jacob, referring to Trump's claim of voter fraud. So let's be clear, friends. When John Eastman wrote that email to a Pence aide during the attack on the Capitol, and he said Mike Pence didn't do what was necessary, that was John Eastman saying Mike Pence did not corruptly stop the certification of Joe Biden's win, because that's what Eastman's memo had set out, a blueprint to deny Joe Biden his win and ultimately to corruptly install Donald Trump unconstitutionally for a second term. That's what Eastman was working his unlevel best to orchestrate. You know, more documents like this email will begin coming out. The National Archives is in possession of thousands of documents, and those documents, I'm confident, will be turned over to the House Select Committee and will ultimately be turned over to the Department of Justice, and they will start going off like mini Nixon tape bombs, one after another, I strongly suspect. And those documents, they've been described as emails and text messages and call logs and visitor records. Those documents will move things in the direction of justice. And justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.